before our enemies. We have sworn an oath to restore Biafra, or we die in the process. There will be no retreat and no surrender. If the option they give to us is to seek our restoration by violence, every living thing living in the zoo will be destroyed. All the animals will be destroyed. It's a promise and a pledge we are making to them. They must understand that we just don't love our country. We are fanatical about Biafra. We will do everything humanly possible to ensure that Biafra comes. It is either the flag of Biafra is raised up or I am lowered into the grave. One of the two must happen. It is better for this heaven and this earth not to exist than for Biafra not to come to pass. We dedicate it into the hands of Chukwu Abiyama, the creator of the heavens and the earth, because only him decreed that we should exist as a race, and only him has the say to decide and to determine if we are to survive.
Welcome viewers to Biafran Television, and this is Truth of the Matter. In today's program, we are looking at the court case of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Maazị Nnamdi Kanu, who is a prisoner of conscience. Today, a political prisoner who has been fighting for the right of his people and for the right of the entire world, because a man fighting for the right of a free speech person is also fighting for the right of every free human being. Today, in this program, we are going to talk into it deeply, as we have panelists who are going to discuss it here today. Binta Nyako, on the 13th of December 2016, the sitting judge of the Nigerian High Court, Justice Binta Nyako, who ruled for the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra to be tried secretly, came on that day. It wasn't so easy for her. So on that very day, a lot of things happened in the court, and a lot of stories has been told. Right now, I will throw it to you, Maazị Kalago. What do you have to say regarding the court case on the 13th December 2016? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. I'm overwhelmingly happy for being in this program today to discuss the issue concerning the litigation involving the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. Well, what transpired at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on the 13th of December 2016 can easily be described as a mockery and travesty of justice. Why do I say this? I say this because Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja said that the Federal High Court in Abuja belongs to her, and that as it is, she has the right to jail the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra and nothing will happen. It is a challenge to people of goodwill. It is a challenge to free speech. It is a challenge to self-determination. I want to tell our audience that the prosecuting counsel led by Labran has confused themselves and misconstrued the word self-determination to be a treasonable felony according to the charges which they leveled against the indigenous people of Biafra, because as we speak, this issue is no more about the incarceration of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. Rather, this is the incarceration of the generality of the people of the indigenous people of Biafra. This is also an incarceration on the freedom. Look, audience, our audience should understand that self-determination is a fundamental human right. Self-determination is guaranteed under Article 20 of African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Self-determination is also guaranteed and enshrined under Article 1 and 55 of the United Nations Charter, which borders on the right to self-determination of the indigenous people. These are rights, inalienable rights, that a sitting judge should have known the implications of her verdict. Now, coming down to what transpired at the court, everything about Nigeria is always shrouded in secrecy. The president is very, very ill and sick. It is shrouded in secrecy. Everything about Nigeria is secret. Why? It is because Nigeria is fraud. Why? Because Nigeria is evil. Because it is evil that indulge in secrecy. Why will a presiding judge at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja prefer to try a case that is bordered on self-determination and will be tried on a secret arrangement? This is very, very wrong. My point is that Justice Nyako should go back to school and learn to be able to distinguish between self-determination and secession or treasonable felony. Mr. Moderator, this is what I have to say for now.
Thank you.
I'll come up with more ideas as I give chance for my colleagues to air their views. Thank you.
You did wonderfully. We know that if we give you all the whole time, you elaborate more on your points, but we have to do it the way it has been fixed for us to handle it. In the court case, a lot of things are to be said about it. For instance, the way you brought it, everything in Nigeria is shrouded in secrecy. Even the president is sick. None of the Nigerian citizens has known about it. Everything they are doing in Nigeria is all about secrecy, which is against human rights and which is against fundamental human right of every living being in Nigeria. Now I come to you, Maase Basiloba. What do you have to say on this very court case?
Thank you very much. Look at the court case. I can tell you that Justice Binta Nyako made the ruling of the 13th December 2016 under the influence of blackmail. Remember that the president of Nigeria, the Nigerian government, wrote to Justice Binta Nyako to jail Nnamdi Kanu whether guilty or not, before the inauguration of the President of the United States of America. Otherwise, that Buhari, the President of Nigeria, will probe the husband of Binta Nyako. That is why Justice Binta made that ruling outside the Nigerian law on 13th of December 2016. After the ruling, there was a very rowdy argument because the ruling was outside the Nigerian constitution. And Binta Nyako told the public that she has her mandate in the Nigerian constitution, section 36, 4B. But I am standing here today to tell Justice Binta Nyako that that particular section doesn't give her the mandate to make the ruling of the 13th December 2016 against Nnamdi Kanu. Why did I say so? That particular section said it very clear that when there is a case to be tried in secret, that is the Minister of Federation or the Commissioner of a state will come with evidence and satisfy the court. If you satisfy the court, then the court can try the person in secret. But if you come to Nnamdi Kanu's case, Nigerian government has never provided any evidence against Nnamdi Kanu. Since the court demanded evidence, Nigerian government is unable to provide evidence against Nnamdi Kanu. That is how Justice Binta Nyako failed that particular session. Number two, Justice Binta Nyako failed to tell the Minister of the Federal Territory of Nigeria to go back home because the court proceedings are there for everyone to see. So, if Justice Binta Nyako understands the power behind court orders, she would have told the Minister of Federation to go back home and tell Mr. President to obey court orders. After that, then he will come back. You understand?
Yeah.
But Justice Binta Nyako failed to do that because she was doing all that very day under the influence of blackmail. Because the president blackmailed Justice Binta Nyako. Are you getting me?
Of course, I'm getting.
So now, on the 12th day of January 2017, the same Justice Binta Nyako said that Nigeria has no evidence, therefore Nnamdi Kanu should not be tried in secret. That is how they come up with no prima facie, because they were not able to establish a trial. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
So at this point, because some people may not understand what they mean that there is no prima facie. Why am I bringing these issues? Because so that our audience will understand what I'm saying. Because when you accuse a person, and at the initial time or earlier time, it seems to be true, then at a point, court will invite you for a clear explanation.
Yes.
Or in other words, to come up with evidence.
Correct.
So after a certain period of time, if you fail to come up with an evidence to prove that what you're saying is truth, then what the court will do, then court will now know that you are lying and the accused person is innocent. So now what will happen is that the court will now quash the case and throw all the charges against the innocent man into a rubbish bin, seal it there, and no one will talk about it again. At this point, the accused person is now a free person and will go home victoriously. So I don't know what the Nigerian court is still waiting to give Nnamdi Kanu freedom, because Nigerian government has failed to provide evidence to prove that Nnamdi Kanu committed treasonable felony. Because it's clear that everybody knows that they cannot establish trial against Nnamdi Kanu. So what are they waiting? They have to allow Nnamdi Kanu to go as an innocent man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mazuba. You did wonderfully well in giving our audience what it takes to have justice and what it takes to establish justice in any human being or in any case. Now we will go on a short break. When we will come back, we will give you more and more of the case and the trial which has been going on by the Nigerian judiciary. Thank you.
Freedom is what we need now. Freedom is what we want now. Freedom is what we need now. Freedom is what we want now. Calling the United Nations to set my people free. Calling the League of the Nations to set Biafra free. Lord, no. Calling the African Union, talk about my freedom.
Welcome back, viewers, to Biafran Television, and this is Truth of the Matter. As we are speaking on the court case of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, before we went on the short break, we are going to continue from where we stopped. Mazoba, you made a very wonderful comment and it was really, really great. And Mazen Kala, you did wonderfully well in the first phase of this very conversation. I want the audience now to also listen to this very section and know why Mazen Namdekano should be released unconditionally as the first ruling has been made. But before we go there, I want us to also look into the similarities between Soho, Justice John Soho, who handed over the case to Binta Nyako, and Binta Nyako herself in their court overturn from secret trial to non-secret trial, from establishment of prima facie to non-establishment of prima facie, as she said, as she quoted in contempt of the court, as she said. So, Maze Kala Okalo, what do you have to say in that aspect?
Well, Mr. Moderator, from your question, the similarities between the present Justice Binta Nyako and the previous John Soho, who disengaged himself from the case because of his atrocities. I call it atrocity because he is a corrupt judge. Both of them are corrupt judges. Why I say this is because Justice Binta Nyako was under duress and pressure of blackmail from the tyrant ruler of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, because Justice Binta Nyako's husband and the son were involved in a massive corruption ring under the previous administration of Goodluck Jonathan, whereby the husband of Binta Nyako, who was the governor of Adamawa State, he was indicted on corruption with his son. So the present president of Nigeria, the tyrant ruler Muhammadu Buhari, has used this blackmail trying to jail our leader Nnamdi Kanu, because he had approached the judge and given the judge the verdict to deliver at the court. The same thing that he did through John Soho trying to jail our leader Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. He offered John Soho a lot of money, and the man is very, very corrupt. The same thing is applicable to Binta Nyako. So that is the similarities. In other words, what is happening at the judiciary in Nigeria now is no more justice. Rather, it is the will of the tyrant ruler in Asoro. Now, I want the public to understand from a layman's point of view what we mean by a case being considered in a prima facie doctrine. Prima facie to the layman is simply the first sight, a first glance of a case, trying to evaluate if there is enough evidence to establish such a case at the trial proceedings. That is what we mean by prima facie. As it concerns the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, he shouldn't be going to court. He should be discharged and acquitted, because there is no evidence. The charges against him is baseless. The charges against him lacks merit. The charges against him cannot hold water, because in law, in criminal proceedings, the standard of proof is a proof beyond reasonable doubt. And in this case, it is an onus on the prosecuting counsel, that is the federal government of Nigeria, to prove beyond reasonable doubt the case of prima facie by bringing enough evidence to prove to the court that really these reasonable felony charges that they have slammed on the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra is real. If it is real, they should have brought the evidence. Now, the particularity of this case suggests that there is no specification on the names of the people that were involved in this charade they call treasonable felony. What am I saying? They say that you, Nnamdi Kanu, and the others at large is vague in law. It doesn't mean anything in law. And also, they could not establish a time and the date when treasonable felony was attempted. Because our public should understand there is a difference. There is a difference between treasonable felony and treason itself. Treason is when someone succeeds in overthrowing a sitting government. For instance, what Muhammadu Buhari did on 31st of December 1983 is what we call treason, because he overthrew a democratically elected government of Shehu Shagari. Now, coming to today's issue of treasonable felony leveled against Nnamdi Kanu, that is to say, it means that Nnamdi Kanu is trying or planning, that is on the process, planning to levy war against Nigeria in order to overthrow the present government of Muhammadu Buhari, which is false. Nnamdi Kanu does not, the indigenous people of Biafra, we do not want to overthrow the government of Muhammadu Buhari. The indigenous people of Biafra do not want to levy war against Nigeria. The indigenous people of Biafra are seeking for their inalienable right of self-determination, which is clearly different, because the indigenous people of Biafra has applied every international standard to make sure that they liberate themselves from this slavery of Nigeria in a peaceful manner. The indigenous people of Biafra has never killed a fly. The indigenous people of Biafra has never committed any crime that is known to any law, both international and the local. If you look at the Nigerian Constitution, specifically in section 40, you discover that there is the right to freedom of association and assembly, which is guaranteed under this shenanigan called the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So my question to the world at large is, why is everybody silent and there is injustice going on against the indigenous people of Biafra? Why are the world so silent? Why are the world looking the other way? Why humanity are being killed on daily basis in Biafra land? Has no merit at all. What a judge should do in these circumstances is to quash the case, decide and acquit it, and even offer compensation to the accused for the infringement of his fundamental human rights. Mr. Moderator, let me hold it now because I'm very, very angry on what is going on.
Thank you, Mazi Kala. I really, really appreciate how you have digested the very point that all the world will know and understand that the case of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and others, as they used to say, and they registered in the case, has no merit, has no basis at all for them to detain the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra and the entire Biafrans they are keeping hostage. Right now, I will come to you, Mazi Oba Basil. Mazi Kanu has told us that the case has no merit at all, and they never established any prima facie to hold the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra ransom, or to try him, or to keep delaying adjourning the case where they have no evidence to keep him there to try him. What will you say about that very act?
Yeah, moderator. I can tell you that for someone to say that Nnamdi Kanu committed treasonable felony, in fact, I can tell you that it is a big lie against the people of Biafra. You know, President Muhammadu Buhari, in between 2014 and 2015, is the one who committed treasonable felony. Because President Muhammadu Buhari is the one in 2014 to 2015 planned to levy war against Nigeria had it been that he lost the election of 2015, which we all know that during the time he trained some men and women and he fired some arms against Nigeria in case he lost the election of 2015. Why there was no war is because that he won the election. Are you getting me? That is why he did not levy war against Nigeria. So if you can say he's the one who committed treasonable felony. Then why do I say that Nnamdi Kanu did not commit any treasonable felony? Is because if Nnamdi Kanu committed treasonable felony, Nigerian government and their friends would have provided evidence to prove that Nnamdi Kanu committed treasonable felony. So as it is now, you can see that the Nigerian court cannot establish trial against Nnamdi Kanu because they have no evidence to prove that Nnamdi Kanu committed treasonable felony. So it is important that everybody will understand how Nigerian government is working against the leader of indigenous people of Biafra to kill him. Even Nigerian government or Nigerians, if Nnamdi Kanu lost his life, then they will understand that Nnamdi Kanu has a lot of men following him. He has a lot of followers. Well, however, Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, has no time, plan anything to levy war against Nigeria. All his plan, which you can see on Radio Biafra, if you listen to Radio Biafra, you can see that Nnamdi Kanu is following the due process in restoring Biafra. You know that Nigeria claim that they practice democracy.
Yes.
But democracy at law secret trial, they call it the injustice of modern era. Even human rights called it the abortion of justice.
Okay.
And this is what they are doing against the people of Biafra and Nnamdi Kanu particularly. So, moderator, there are a lot of issues surrounding this our case, because Nnamdi Kanu's case is the case of Biafrans.
Yes.
So I will stop here, so that we still have more things to say if we have enough time. But let me stop here.
Thank you, Mazoba, for your good contribution to this. I am really overwhelmed by the way you placed it, and everyone would understand that the whole charges leveled against Maazị Nnamdi Kanu and the entire Biafrans are just nothing but hate, are just nothing but to kill and to maim, are just nothing but to wipe away a particular set of people, and nothing but to see that the people of Biafra never exist on earth. On that basis, the whole world has seen that the indigenous people of Biafra and their leader, Maazị Nnamdi Kanu, are 1,000,000% innocent of what Nigerian government has levied against them. And at that, they keep shifting the cases, adjourning the cases all the time. Each case they fix, they will adjourn. Each case they fix, they will adjourn. Yet they could not provide any solution or any evidence against the person they levied the crime against on. Right now, I want to, let the whole world to understand that injustice has been planted in Nigeria.
Mr. Moderator, it is not only in Nigeria. When you are talking about injustice, I will tell you categorically clear here, and I stand by it, that the whole of Africa is riddled with injustice. Take for instance the issue of ECOWAS Community Court of Justice.
Okay.
Do you remember that since March 2016, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, instituted a human rights violation or human rights infringement suit against the Federal Republic of Nigeria at the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice. Do you know that since March 2016 till today, it's almost a year, the case has been under adjournment and adjournment? What is so difficult for a regional court like the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice to deliver a judgment that is simply based on the infringement of the rights of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra? Simply to deliver judgment against the Nigerian state for not obeying court orders. Orders that were given by the courts of competent jurisdictions in Nigeria were flaunted and disobeyed, and everybody kept quiet. And the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra went to the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice to establish such case, and up till today, they have never delivered judgment. That is to tell you that they are working in pari passu with the Nigerian judiciary. That is to say that they are applying the concept of he who pays the viper dictates the tune. That is what is happening, because the ECOWAS Community Court is sitting in Abuja, the capital of Nigeria. And from all indications, you can understand that the Federal Republic of Nigeria has been financing most of the activities of ECOWAS, including the court itself. So when you are talking about injustice, I don't think that there will be anything like justice to the just in Africa. Thank you.
You are welcome. That is what we are suffering today, and you cannot find it difficult to detect those who planted the injustice in Africa, because Africa was colonized by different people. Africa was colonized by the Europeans, and Africa has been treated cruelly because they need the resources in Africa, and that's why we are suffering what we are suffering today. Right now, I want our audience to understand that the whole charges levied against the indigenous people of Biafra and their leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has no basis at all. And in the law court, nobody suffers any injustice because there is no evidence to prove him wrong. But the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra and the rest who were arrested and tried without evidence are still there, and the whole world are moping. I don't know why the entire world will be looking at this. Now it has extended from Nigeria to the Africa, to West Africa as a whole. I don't know why the entire world are looking at this and they want the indigenous people to go in this way. I don't know how they will feel if that comes to their own nation, if that comes to their own people, if that takes part in the side of the world that they live in, to receive such trial or such treatment from their government. Right now,
Mr. Moderator, I want to use this medium to advise the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice. I want to remind them that ECOWAS Community Court of Justice adopted Article 38 to protect the rights, fundamental rights of citizens of member states. ECOWAS Community Court of Justice should not should not abdicate their responsibilities. Thank you.
Welcome, Mazekano, Abukano. Right now, shortly, Mazuba, I want you to advise the entire African community on how the indigenous people of Biafra has been manhandled and how the case should go according to the rule of law.
Okay, thank you. The only thing I can say here is that ECOWAS court, that is a regional court, is there to protect the citizens of West Africa. When somebody is trying to work against the democracy, then they have to look at the issue and address the issue. So now they can, if you look at Nnamdi brought his case to the ECOWAS Community Court in order to get justice, because Nigerian judiciary has failed to give him justice. So now ECOWAS Community Court, it seems that they have been bought over like Nigerian court. The Nigerian government is now in place in ECOWAS court. Nigerian court made adjournment from February to March of 2017, and ECOWAS court joined them. That is to say that they are working together. So at this point in time, I want to use the opportunity to tell ECOWAS Community Court to deliver justice on Nnamdi Kanu's case. Thank you.
Thank you, Maze Oba. You have really made it clear that every adjournment that they have made following the Nigerian government is implicating or having an evil interpretation on them, that it seems that Nigerian government is now overpowering the entire West African countries, and which is very wrong. West African countries has the onus and the power to subdue whatever evil the Nigerian government is doing, not the Nigerian government influencing the ECOWAS, which is very wrong. At this point in time, we will draw curtain to this very program. I welcome you so much, and I thank you so much, Maze Kala Bukalo, for coming to this program. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And Mazoba, you are really welcome to this program, and thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And my very self, Mazi Onyebucho Sorobi, from the studio of The Truth of the Matter, I'm returning you back to our central studio in London.
Mr. Pro, I'm doing it.
More on the beat.
Listen, I can see my people, my yes, I can see my people in rivers. I also see my people in Delta, Cross River and Akwa Ibom. Even in the state, I can see my people in Enugu. I can see my people in Anambra. I also see my people